All right, guys, so the main theme of a lot of my videos lately has been about how at least 20 to 30% of this country has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, okay? At the thought of Trump or Trump becoming president of the United States again, at least 20 to 30% of the population has a severe mental reaction to it, okay? They have a severe mental breakdown just at the thought of Trump becoming president, which again should be studied, right? It's something that should be studied in medical journals, and we should examine it because I don't understand how this is possible when clearly under the Biden administration, this country is in a worse place, okay? It's in a worse place. However, again, you have some people who are, I guess, disconnected from that reality. And the Trump derangement syndrome is driving them when it comes to their voting rather than the actual reality of the country, okay? And this video is exactly what I'm talking about here, featuring Vivek Ramaswamy and this lady who has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. And she's going to take out her Trump derangement syndrome on Vivek Ramaswamy, basically saying that, well, because Vivek has never held public office, this is why he should not run for president or why he's not qualified to be president. And her example for why that's true is going to be Trump, because Trump never held public office and he became president. So therefore she's saying, well, you know, Vivek is in the same boat and he shouldn't be president, which again is another example of how there's some voters who are simply disconnected from reality. And I want to talk about this. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. You've expressed some illogical and dangerous positions just about everything under the sun, but I will only bring up a few points today.
Okay. Just be respectful of everyone, but we'll pick your favorite ones. Thank you.
Just a few years ago, we all saw firsthand the disastrous results when a ruthless capitalist, a scam artist, a showman, and a liar with no public service experience became the president of the United States. And yet we are here again. My fellow New Hampshire residents are being manipulated by showmen and Trump wannabes to win our votes. Mr. Ramaswamy, you may be a millionaire, and you may know how to avoid paying taxes by incorporating companies in Bermuda, but let's talk about your lack of job qualifications. You're not qualified to become the principal of my children's school of only 1,000 students. You're not qualified to be the select board of my town with a population of 16,000 people. And you're definitely not qualified to run for the highest office of our nation to govern 330 million Americans. Spewing nonsensical, fast-talking, empty words, interspersed with name-dropping Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, should not be misconstrued as knowledgeable. We Americans should stop thinking that rich men who fund their campaigns and manipulate us into thinking that they're smart or savvy are qualified for the presidency, to receive the codes to launch nuclear weapons, and to become the commander-in-chief of our military forces. Yes, it's coming. Mr. Ramaswamy, if we American voters, thank you, it's coming.
We'll let her finish. We'll give her a chance to finish.
Thank you.
It ends with a question mark, though.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, you will. If we American voters keep supporting self-promoting showmen who treat the US presidency or vice presidency as an entry-level position, then we, the American people, are to blame for the destruction of our democratic institutions. Please, your thoughts, Don.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so before Vivek gets into this, okay, as you can see, this woman is suffering from a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. Voters like her are the reason why this country is in such a bad place, okay? I guarantee you she votes D down the ballot, okay? And, you know, these people, these same Democrats, again, clearly she did not appreciate the job that Trump did as president, right? Keeping world peace, having a great economy, having a better border situation, crime being better, just things in this country in general being better, right? But again, she's drunk in the Kool-Aid to the point where she votes against her own self-interest. And now coming up in 2024, she's applying this same line of logic and reasoning, okay, to Vivek Ramaswamy in the sense that, well, you're a businessman. You've never held public office. Why should you be qualified? You're not qualified to be the school principal. Well, I'm here to tell this woman, and Vivek's going to tell her as well too, the last time that we had a guy who did not hold public office become president of the United States, again, everything in this country was much better. And the reason why is because he was not beholden to the same system that these elected politicians are held to, in the sense that they're bought and sold, okay, by big money interests. And these people don't actually represent you, the people, or we, the people. They actually represent the donors, right? They do whatever their donors tell them to do. Now, again, this woman is ignorant. She's ignorant. She's either ignorant or she doesn't care, right? Probably both, okay? Maybe she doesn't care about paying $700 more per month just to live. Maybe she doesn't care about open borders, okay? Maybe she doesn't care about any of these things. I don't know. But to me, in my mind, I'm not sure how she lives in a reality where she thinks that somebody that has been an elected official for all of their life is just by definition better than somebody that's not. And that the person that's not is not qualified because, well, you know, he's a businessman or whatever. When I would argue that I would much rather have more businessmen and people that actually have had real jobs than people that have been elected officials all their lives. Because at the very least, people who haven't been elected officials all their lives actually knows what it's like to be a regular person, to work a regular job. And in the case of Vivek Ramaswamy, just like Trump as a businessman, one of the things that make, you know, great businessmen is actually their ability to solve inefficiencies, okay, which our government is very inefficient, right? That and to delegate, okay, to delegate and to lead, to organize. These are all key skills that anybody needs in order to run an organization, whether that be in the public sector or the private sector. I'm not saying there's not a difference, but I think that we do need more businessmen in office, okay? People who've actually worked real jobs, who've created jobs, who understand how the economy works. And again, most importantly, aren't bought and sold, right? I would much rather have a guy that's not bought and sold, okay, than a guy that is bought and sold. I don't care if it's a billionaire, right? I'm just saying. And we're going to get a little bit more into that.
I appreciate that.
Before you answer.
I want to answer that, yeah.
I know you want to answer, and I want you to answer. But everyone, remember, everyone's in here at the same time. You can make your point, but get to the question first. Yeah. Try to? Okay.
And hard questions are welcome. Just end them with the question mark is all I say. So here's what I will say. What do I hear embedded in that question? There's a fundamental skepticism of somebody who comes from outside and take as an entry-level job. That was what was in your question, which I think is a valid criticism. An entry-level job to be the US president. Let me just share with you one of my learnings in this campaign. We have an imperfect system right now, and you all face imperfect choices in that system. We were talking about this backstage. What was the number one learning for me? This is a super PAC puppet game.
Facts.
It's my number one learning coming in from the outside. You're told that candidates actually run campaigns that you fund by giving $35 contributions. Nonsense. The system is funded by not multimillionaires, multi-billionaires who use politicians in both parties, Democrat and Republican Party, as their puppets. The super PACs are a cancer on our system. So if you want to break that system, and I'll tell you, it's a law of nature. It's like a law of physics. As the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, every politician dances to the tune of their biggest donor. It's just a fact.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point I've been trying to drive home to you guys lately. I'm showing you guys straight up, like, these politicians just follow the money. I mean, just look at the whole Speaker of the House ordeal, right? I mean, they're basically fighting over which GOP speaker is going to allow money to continue to flow to Ukraine, right? I mean, that's what they're really fighting over, okay? Because, again, this is how these politicians get paid. But, again, I would much rather have a guy that is a billionaire or a millionaire who's self-funded, who isn't bought and sold, than a politician who's been bought and sold. Because at least with the billionaire, even if they got their money in ways that are questionable ethically, right? Which I'm not saying that's the case for Vivek Ramaswamy, but I'm just saying, at least I know that what they're saying, I have more reasons to believe what they're saying. And that's what really blows my mind by people that say that, oh, Vivek's fake. I'm like, well, what incentive does he have to be fake? What incentive does he have to come out here and to say the things he's saying as basically a billionaire, where, you know, he essentially is signing himself up to be canceled and to lose out on opportunities to continue to grow his wealth. He doesn't have any incentive to say the same things he's saying, right? Especially as a brown man that is MAGA, openly MAGA. Like, there's no incentive for that, right? I mean, you can't say, well, he's a grifter. I mean, he doesn't need the money, right? He doesn't need the money. He's already a billionaire. So I believe that he sincerely believes the things he's saying, right? And because of that, I would put more trust in somebody like him or Trump than I would, again, somebody that's an elected politician. That, again, their campaigns are funded by big corporations. Because, again, that's why the right and the left, the establishment, that's why they push back so hard against Trump. Because Trump can't be bought and sold. So when Trump does his foreign policy, he's not thinking about the military industrial complex, because he's not funded by them, right? When Trump does anything he does, he's not thinking about, you know, the donors, because he doesn't need them, right? Same thing with Vivek Ramaswamy. He's only beholden to the people. And that's what people got to realize. And that's the point that Vivek's making. I think that's the perfect response to this woman's question.
Now, in my case, it is true that biggest donor is me. Now, do I want a system in which only people who have had the level of success that I've had in the world of business and the American dream are the ones who are able to run for president? No. But is that better than a system where it's somebody else's billionaire puppet that's on that debate stage that actually is just uttering words handed to them by a billionaire-provided super PAC? Yes, I think that's better.
Facts. Again, and the reason why is because at least the actual billionaire that's not funded by the corporations and the super PACs, at least you can have more reason to believe what they're saying, right? Not that, you know, every single time they're actually really saying what they believe or whatever, but you have more reason, right, to believe what they're saying. Versus a regular standard politician, there's very little reason to believe what they're saying. I'm just saying.
And I think if we're going to address the corruption in Washington, D.C., the corruption of people, and there are other candidates in this race that fit this description, making millions of dollars off of connections in government service, afterwards, lobbying in a career using government connections. This is corruption that exists in both parties. Then yes, I do think it will take an outsider to that system coming in to break that system. One of the things that I think we need to stop apologizing for in this country is the power of capitalism. I have succeeded not in government, and I will not feign having government experience that I don't have. But the people who do have government experience, in some ways, got us into the mess that we're in today. So I think we live in a moment where it will take an outsider. Someone who comes from the outside, ideally even someone who comes from the next generation, to reach the next generation, of whom we have so many in this room today. I think it will take somebody whose best days, I hope, are still yet ahead in life, to see a country whose best days are still yet ahead in life. And I'm not name-dropping when I mention Thomas Jefferson. These are people I look up to as our founding fathers. He was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. I'm an old man by comparison. He invented the swivel chair while he was at it. That's the founding spirit we need to revive in this country. And in this particular moment, yes, I do think it will take an outsider to do it. Yes, I do think it will take an outsider to address our national debt. $33 trillion. We need a CEO in the White House. How does a CEO run a business? How have I run the businesses I've run? Zero-based budgeting. Don't start with last year's budget as the baseline, because last year's budget was broken by the same existing political class. And last year's budget was based on the previous year's budget, which was equally broken by the same corrupt special interest system. So I say break that system. Start with zero as the baseline, and then ask what's actually necessary. You're not going to get that type of leadership from somebody who comes from, I think, within that broken system. So you're right, you do face a choice. As I shared with Nancy earlier, if you want somebody who's going to incrementally reform the bureaucracy, and the administrative state, I'm not your candidate. If you want somebody who has government experience as their qualification to be your next president, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want somebody who comes from the outside, a patriot who speaks the truth, uncaptured by the super PACs, willing to get in there and actually gut that shadow government, the corrupt swamp in Washington, D.C., but actually see the job through, as a leader from a different generation to reach the next generation, then yes, I am your candidate, and that is why I'm in this race. And the beauty of this is, A, you have the right to speak your mind, as does everybody else in this room. That's what makes America beautiful. That's what makes America great. And the part that really makes our system what it is that that choice belongs to you, not to me. And I'm grateful for the opportunity you guys have given us. So, next question.
Yeah. So again, I think that was a perfect response. I mean, he could have got disrespectful with it, but he didn't, because the woman was definitely disrespectful with him. But like I said, I think the point really is that, you know, I think it is preferable to have a candidate that has government experience, but I'm always skeptical of these people who've literally been in office their whole lives. And, you know, they're parading around as if, you know, they're experts and they know everything, when all of their policies, all the things that they vouch for have done nothing but been bad for us. Like, for example, Nikki Haley, she's always talking about how Vivek doesn't know anything about foreign policy. But the same neocon foreign policy that she has pushed, that she's an advocate for, has been the reason why we've ended up in so many of these regime change wars that have backfired in our face, and that has cost us trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and countless American lives and civilian lives. But again, these people are the experts, right? You should vote for them because they're experts, okay? When an outsider comes in, all of a sudden we have world peace. I don't think that that's a coincidence. I really don't. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.